Your whispers are getting softer. Shouting is getting
All right, how's everyone doing
harsher.
today? I'm Steve, and welcome to episode 2 of the Purple Pod. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about K-State's win over SEMO, 45-0. I'm joined by my good friend Kenny. Kenny, how you doing, man?
What's up, man? I'm doing good, man. It's so awesome, dude. What a great win. 45-0. That's how you come out and make a statement win right there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you guys aren't already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like if you can as well. This is our second episode. I felt like the first one went pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm having a good time. I think you're having a good time as well. I think Cody is going to be joining us here for episode number 3 coming up this next week.
So the preview to the next game.
Yep.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about this game that just happened.
Absolutely, absolutely. So K-State wins 45-0 over SEMO. Week 1, September 2nd at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. Before the game, they did honor the 2003 and 2012 Big 12 champions. They showed off their championship trophies, and then they brought out the 2022 Big 12 championship trophy, along with a bunch of seniors that graduated or people that left early. Felix Anudike Uzama, Deuce Vaughn was there, Josh Hayes, Julius Brents, a ton of guys were there. I don't know if they showed it on TV or not, but in person, it was pretty cool to see them honor the Big 12 champs from last year. So.
They didn't show it on TV. They just kind of showed like little clips of them walking out and, just showing them basically like holding the trophy and stuff like that. So they didn't really do the ceremony on TV or anything.
Okay, yeah, I figured out since the kickoff was at 6:02. It was pretty hot. I'm not gonna lie. Walking to the game, that was the hottest game that I have been to in 10 years. The last hot game like that was 2013 against North Dakota State, which that did not end very well. But that was an insanely hot game yesterday. 52,000 people showed up. Way over capacity, standing room only. It was pretty awesome to see the Wildcat faithful show up for the team. And K-State showed out winning 45-0. Before we get into any stats or anything like that, just your overall thoughts, Kenny, on K-State just dominating 45-0 yesterday in their first game.
Well, first of all, I want to say, like, when we talk about K-State's win over SEMO, a lot of people will just go ahead and say, like, oh, well, SEMO is not like the greatest team. They're like a team in the Ohio something conference, right? But the thing is that SEMO is actually a really good team. Like last year, they were like 9-3. Like years before that, they were like 9-2 or something. They're like an actually decent team. So don't overlook that. And I mean, I don't want people to just think, oh, because they're, they are a more inferior team, but like, let's just face it. I mean, we just came out and got the job done. Other thoughts to that is like all the questions that we had about the people that were inexperienced. Man, inexperience kind of goes away when you've got hustle and drive and passion. I mean, these guys were coming out firing on all cylinders, making big plays. They were getting up. They were super excited. I know that you were sending me some texts about some funny little dances that they were doing. It was just like they were pumped, man. They were super pumped, and I just love the enthusiasm from the players all across the board, defense and offense. I mean, there is so much. There are so many players to highlight. I know we're going to get into that later, but just wanted to go. I wanted to say, like, shout out to the SEMO team. Yeah, like they're actually a really good team. It's just that Kansas State is just on another level. And the head coach for SEMO, they kept like talking about how he was a local guy from a little town called Silver Lake, which for those who don't know, from the last episode, I said that I went to school I was at Riley County, and that was the Falcon Eagle rivalry. We absolutely hate each other, right. Riley County and Silver Lake. So it felt a little good too, knowing that a Silver Lake guy kind of got taken down too. So, shout out to him.
Yeah, that was an impressive win. For people who don't know, SEMO was ranked number 11 in the preseason FCS poll. They brought back basically everyone on their offense. Their starting quarterback threw for 2,600 yards last year. They had a 1,000-yard receiver that's a senior. They had a 1,600-yard running back. And for K-State to shut them down, to hold them to 0 points is mightily impressive. All I'm going to say about that game is it definitely felt like K-State went in knowing they're a mature team, knowing that people – they want to see K-State dominate, and they did that from essentially start to finish. K-State led 7-0 after the first quarter. It wasn't the best start to the game, but by halftime, K-State was up 35-0, and we know the final score was 45-0.
They threw it into a whole nother gear that second quarter. I mean, they really just started. And also, shout out to that SEMO quarterback. He's a really good quarterback. They didn't utilize him too much in the run game. They're trying to keep him for the whole season, but they did mention, and I know that the stats go along with it from previous seasons, that guy can run. He's a really good runner. It's just this is the first game of the season. They're not going to have too many plays, but you saw there was one play where he actually made a pretty significant drive just on his legs, So just give him a little bit of grace. They're not as good as K-State. K-State's definitely a much more mature team. But, again, I don't want people to just say, oh, well, it was obviously going to be an easy game. No, they're a good team. So.
Awesome. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and start with, we're going to talk about the offense, defense, special teams, talk about individual praise here in just a moment. We're going to talk about the Big 12 scores from around the league, give our thoughts on that, and then just give like a real quick thought on next week's game before we get into our podcast later this week. Before we do that, though, we're going to take one quick break. All right, we're back, and we're going to be talking about the K-State offense that scored 45 points. K-State led 7-0 after their first drive. Basically, the only negative play on that first drive was the very first play from scrimmage, was a negative passing play to Phillip Brooks, but K-State marched right down and scored on a pretty nice deep pass to Jaden Jackson, who was filling in for Keegan Johnson, the starting receiver transfer from Iowa, who was out with an injury. It felt like
go ahead.
You
also can't forget about that interception too. That one interception.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But overall, Will Howard, we're going to start with the quarterbacks. Will Howard has to be the player of the game. He threw for 2 touchdowns, ran for another, and then caught a touchdown as well. His overall numbers, I'm going to pull up these stats right here. He ended up with almost 300 yards passing. Where is it? It's right here. Here we go.
69% pass percentage. Nice.
Yes.
69%.
2 touchdown passes, 1 interception, and he also ran the ball. Where is it? 3 times, 5 yards, and another touchdown. And he caught a touchdown as well. 1 catch for 8 yards and a touchdown. I felt like outside of that interception, which was kind of the offensive line's fault, and we'll get into the offensive line play here in a little bit, but I felt like that was about as good of a start as you could ask for from your starting quarterback and Will Howard. I don't know. What were your overall thoughts on Will Howard's first game as a starting quarterback at the beginning of the season?
Well, I mean, you basically said he did it all. Okay, like he ran the ball for a touchdown. He made some pass touchdowns. And then he also caught a touchdown. They weren't sure if it was a lateral or if it was a pass. They did call it a pass, passing touchdown. So that was like, whoa, this guy is like all over the map. He's like utilizing like all the tricks of the trade here, being a really awesome quarterback. I mean, I feel like my initial thoughts after the game were, you're gonna hear this probably a lot throughout the season, and that is Howard to Garcia. I feel like you're going to hear those 2 names, and that is a great. Remember, we were talking about like who's going to be the fill-in for Malik Knowles, like who's going to be the guy that's going to fill those shoes, and I think it's going to be Garcia. I mean, from Howard, you're going to hear Howard to Garcia. I know this. We're not talking about Garcia yet, but Howard was able to just land these dimes like so well, and Garcia is just one of them. But yeah, like you said, just shy of 300 passing yards. He didn't play the whole game, so I feel like he probably would have made over that easily. But I did point out 69 pass percentage. Nice. Love that.
So what was nice about this game is the fact that K-State just dominated from start to finish, essentially. Shout out to Derek Young from K-State Online for this stat that K-State was able to play 77 different players in the first game, and that's what you want. You want to get your guys in there, get them some game reps, get some reps against other teams. And Will Howard, like we talked about, he played phenomenal, but it was really nice for K-State fans to get their first look at Avery Johnson, the freshman quarterback from Mays.
This was so hype. Even from my home, it was hype. I wasn't even at the game, and I could just watching the screen, people were just so hyped seeing this guy. I gave him a nickname, Avery the Hair Johnson. I mean, this guy, if you don't know, this guy's got the most beautiful hair you've ever seen on a football field. But, dude, this guy is crazy good for how young he is.
Let me see if I can pull up this picture here. There he is there.
Well, it's pulled back a little bit.
It is pulled back. But, yes, he's got some locks. I heard in the postgame, Will Howard called him Goldilocks. So
Goldilocks. That's a great name. But Avery the Hair Johnson, for how young he is, how inexperienced he is at a college level, his first drive of a college game ends in a touchdown that he runs in himself, juking out the whole defense. This guy is, I mean, I'm so excited for the future of this kid. Holy smokes. A kid from Junction City, Mays, Wichita.
Yep.
So he's local, he's a local kid, just a couple hours away from K-State. I mean, people were stoked at him getting on the field, getting some reps in, and he put on an amazing show for everybody in the stadium and the viewers at home.
Absolutely. And he looked comfortable. Like, if you watch the highlights from the game, and I'm going to go back and rewatch the game here probably later today or tomorrow. We're filming this on Sunday. I felt like just overall, like in the pocket, he's just rolling and just looking. He's always looking for someone to throw it to. And if there's nothing there, he's just going to take off because he is one of the fastest people on the entire team. You talked about him juking out the entire defense, but he can throw it too. Like, he had that beautiful pass to fellow freshman Trey Spivey on the sideline. Beautiful play.
Perfect spiral.
I think it was phenomenal to get him in the game, get him some game reps, several different possessions. He didn't look great in maybe other possessions, but overall, this was really great for him to get in the game, get some game reps. And I think it's pretty clear that he's a number 2. He was listed as an OR with Jake Rubley. Now, I was told that Rubley was a little bit dinged up, and maybe that's why he didn't play. But I kind of also just feel like that Avery Johnson is the number 2. They want to get him some reps. Get him some reps so he is there just in case Will Howard ever does go down. They have a guy that has some reps already in the first game. Yeah. Because when they threw in Rubley last year against TCU, he'd only played 5 or 6 snaps before that, and he just wasn't quite ready for that spotlight. And maybe Rubley will play this next week as well against Troy. Hopefully K-State's up big enough that happens, but I think it was definitely imperative for K-State that Avery Johnson was able to get into the game, get some meaningful reps, a bunch of different possessions, and look good while doing it as well.
Yeah, I think what you were saying with him being comfortable, that translated so well. I mean, he's in the pocket. You saw him being able to scramble around, which is really cool. And then he was putting off some of that Mahomes flavor in there, doing the sidearm throws.
Yes.
Kind of scrambling around the pocket. He finds somebody, like you said, eyes always downfield, trying to find somebody. I mean, he was making amazing plays. I'm like, no way is this kid the first time he's playing any college football ever. This is the first time, and he's putting this performance out there. That is impressive and super exciting for K-State fans for the future of this team.
Absolutely. And like, I don't know how to say it other than I was wowed by him just playing. Like it was just a very, very, very impressive performance. And I feel like I'm not sure he would have been the number 2 quarterback. He probably would have been, but I definitely feel like him coming at semester. He graduated early for people that don't know. He was on the basketball team every single year. I watched him play against Highland Park his junior year at the state tournament. He skipped basketball his senior year, so he could go to K-State early, be here in the spring, get acclimated to the college life, participate in spring ball, and learn the playbook. I feel like that was definitely very, very, very helpful for him and his development as a quarterback and being the signal caller and eventually being here the number 2 quarterback. He definitely feels like he's the number 2 going forward. So
it's a shout out again to the scouting team and the coaching staff recognizing not just like solid talent, but finding it in our backyard. We've really found a huge quarterback here. I mean,
absolutely.
I'm like, I can't stress this enough. This is so exciting for K-State fans to have such a solid. This guy, like, he has superstar written all over him. He just watching on TV, I'm like, this kid is like a superstar.
Oh, like, absolutely.
It's so awesome to see that.
Absolutely. And I mean, he was a 4-star quarterback. He was an elite 11 quarterback, which people don't know. They do like all these different camps and they try to get the top 11 quarterbacks in the country that are pro style, even though he's super fast and he can run. He's more actually of a pro style quarterback. And he was among the elite 11 quarterbacks at their camp.
Right.
So it's pretty impressive what he did. Okay. I feel like we talked about Avery Johnson more than Will Howard.
That's true. But I mean, we'll give Will Howard his flowers when we start to actually see like him go against like some real
teams. Yeah.
But by the way, I mean, we said that he was the player of the game. He
sure.
did it all. 69. I can't ever stress that enough. 69 pass percentage. That's so nice. I want to just to kind of go over. I have a couple of people that I just want to give a quick shout out to on the offense. Okay. Ward looked great. We talked about him. We're hoping that he could fill the shoes of Deuce Vaughn. He actually looked really good. He was exciting to watch. And then, man, the big Ben Sennett, dude. This guy is going to be a problem for a lot of teams. He is a workhorse, and he is like so clutch in getting the ball like up the field in those like desperate third down plays, trying to get the ball out there as quick as possible, the quick snap throws, like Ben Sennett, and he is just a monster, dude. Like he was coming up huge in that game. I don't think he got enough shout outs. I mean, he kind of got overlooked by some other big players making some pretty stylish plays, but man, Ben Sennett is a workhorse for this team, and he is going to be a massive problem for the defenses of other teams. I guarantee it. I'm saying it now. I'm calling it now.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. And they said that he had the most receiving yards in a game for a tight end at K-State since Jaron Mastrud in the mid-2000s, who had a first-round draft pick at quarterback throwing him the ball in Josh Freeman. So, and I'll tell you what, like we were saying, like Will Howard, he threw a couple balls. He dropped them right in the bucket. That touchdown throw to RJ Garcia right into the bucket. Beautiful. It was only a 2-man route. Everyone else was blocking. They did a crossing route, dropped it right in the bucket to RJ Garcia. And then he threw one, just a beautiful pass to send it down the sidelines. I don't know if there could have been a better pass there to Ben Sennett, who, like we said, he had a huge game. 5 catches, 100 yards. Did have that fumble, but like overall, like he is a massive.
The fumble the fumble that ended up in Garcia's hands, heads up play by Garcia, who almost walks it in for a touchdown.
Exactly.
That was, I mean, I don't know. That was, Chris Kleiman, maybe you drew that up. I don't know. Like, but if you did, that's a genius play. But man, that was super clutch, but that was cool. That was cool. Man, Ben Sennett, shout out to that guy, man. Unbelievable player.
That dude's an athlete at 6'4", like 250 or whatever he is. He's
unreal.
He's massive. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the receivers. Like, honestly, I had a lot of question marks about the receivers overall. Like, and especially going into the game, like when I was walking to the game, that's when I heard that Keegan Johnson was not going to be available. And I'm like, man, K-State's already without Malik Knowles since he's gone, and Keegan Johnson's not playing. And Cade Warner graduated as well. Like, who is K-State going to throw the ball to? And you know what? The receiver room, they showed out. They really, really, really played well. And it was from top to bottom. RJ Garcia, huge game. Stepping up 5 catches, 119 yards, that beautiful touchdown catch. Ben Sinnott, we talked about, he's a tight end, but he had a great game. Phillip Brooks, very much involved. I think he had 7 targets, which I believe was the most on the team. He had 6 catches. Jaden Jackson had that first touchdown of the game, that 33-yard touchdown pass, which I felt like K-State was setting up with that intermediate passes, and then boom, he had a beautiful catch with the defender all over him in the back of the end zone. Beautiful catch. Trey Spivey, freshman, a nice 24-yard catch. A couple other players, Xavier Lloyd, backup, Jace Brown.
And then the best receiver, Will Howard. Man, the receiving end, they recruited Will Howard. What a great choice. He's a monster. He's like 6'5".
Let's go. Let's throw him
what a great receiver. Shout out to the offensive coordinator recognizing Will Howard has some great receiving hands. No, seriously, man, that was the receiving because last year Malik Knowles was like the guy,
he was
catching that deep ball. And we're just like, oh man, like where is this gonna go? And we didn't have a clear answer because we weren't sure. But RJ Garcia stepped up huge. I mean, this guy, I don't know what happened in the offseason, but he showed some crazy good athleticism. There was that one play that he caught where he barely got that toe in, on the side. That was super.
They reviewed it and were like, it was a catch. On the sideline on the right side.
Man, that is what I'm talking about, dude. Like just the athleticism, just the effort across the board from him. And we already talked about Ben Sinnott, Phillip Brooks. It seems like there's a lot of targets here. It seems like, and they all performed really well. Of course, we'll have to see what it's going to look like against other teams, but I was impressed. And like I said before, I'm calling it now. Howard to Garcia is going to be like a catchphrase. Probably it's going to be like a Montana to Rice sort of thing. Like we're going to see Howard to Garcia. I mean, I'm calling it now.
That's a good comparison because like RJ Garcia, you would think because he's kind of like he's not like super jacked. Like you would think, okay, that guy's like a 4.2, 4.3 guy. And he did get caught a couple times. He's probably more like a 4.5 receiver, but he catches like everything. He had that beautiful catch in the Big 12 championship game with a guy all over him. Great catch. He had that catch on the sideline today. He's a great possession receiver, which is a good comparison to Jerry Rice. Overall, very, very, very impressed with the receiver group. Okay, running backs. We'll talk about the running backs here, and we'll talk about this in conjunction with the offensive line as well. Running backs, honestly, super impressed with both DJ Giddens, which, wow, like I didn't realize when I left that he had 15 carries.
I didn't even,
K-State, I knew that K-State had 200 rushing yards at the end of the game, but if you had told me in halftime he was going to end up with 128 yards, I would have said you're crazy. I didn't feel like the offensive line played their best game, specifically in the first half. I felt like they probably got chewed out at halftime by their offensive line coach. They made a switch at right tackle. They moved Cooper Beebe, the left guard, to right tackle. They took out Carver Willis, who is playing for the injured Christian Duffy. And then they put in Hadley Panzer at left guard and Taylor Potier at right guard. I feel like that's probably the best lineup they should go with until Christian Duffy is back. I feel like they struggled a little bit, specifically in the run game early, especially almost the whole first half, because K-State got down to the 1 yard line and they couldn't even push it in at the half yard line. They had to go with that QB read with Will Howard. But overall, when the game ended, K-State ran for 228 yards, 5.7 yards per carry, which is phenomenal. DJ Giddens, the only person that was tackling him was the sideline. But DJ Giddens had a great game. Trayshawn Ward, he's not Deuce Vaughn. He is not, but he is an exceptional, gifted runner. I felt like the running backs overall played very well. Kenny, what do you think?
Yeah, this isn't like the highlight of what K-State did last year. I mean, we were very blessed to have Deuce Vaughn, who is an amazing running back. And so we obviously catered our offense around that. And it worked out great for us in a lot of games. So this is a totally different K-State offense than what we experienced last year and the years before, when we had Deuce Vaughn. So coming into this game, I wasn't expecting to see anything fantastic from the running game. I mean, I knew that we would have to, throw it in there and see what it looked like. And I was actually impressed with what we had. I didn't have any big expectations. I wasn't like expecting for like crazy numbers or anything, but walking away with over 200 rushing yards, that's more than what I would have asked for from that game. And it was surprising that DJ Giddens was the one that carried the most out of all that. I did not expect that. I didn't even realize that until you just pulled that up. I mean, I wasn't, I guess, paying attention that close to the running game. I was more just kind of like enjoying the game as a whole. But seeing the stats here, that makes me feel pretty good, actually. Like first game jitters. We'll see how it goes from here on out. But I mean, as far as the offensive line, yeah, there were some mess ups here, some offsides here and there. There wasn't many holding calls, which that was pretty good. Good on them. Good discipline there. But I think overall, despite the one section where like Howard got hit, that's why he got that interception thrown.
Yeah, it was the right tackle cover.
Yeah, the right tackle let his guy go a little bit early there. Got a good hit on Howard, and then he threw the ball right into the hands of the defense. But obviously, that's like, we picked up pretty quickly after that, and it could have been what you had alluded to, possibly a nice talking to at the halftime. Getting these guys whipped into shape here. But yeah, I think the biggest problem that Kansas State had last year was their red zone offense. And that was a big question mark going into this game. Like, they had a couple of moments where they were stuck at the red zone again, a couple yards to go, and they weren't punching it in that well. Eventually we did get it in there with a nice play by Will Howard. That was one of the ones he ran around, did the fake handoff and ran on the outside. But I'm hoping that we can improve on the red zone with our offensive line. Man, if we can do that, I think we are. They were already saying that Kansas State is like looking good enough to repeat.
Yes.
I mean, we were hearing that from the commentators, the analysts. All of them were saying like, this is looking like a repeated Big 12 championship team right here. So, but I feel like if we can just clean up that red zone offensive line when we're in the red zone, it's almost going to be guaranteed, because there was just so many times last year we were getting caught up there right on the dang like 2 or 3 yard line. So that's all I have as far as the running back and offensive line game. It's like a small sample size. I want to see more games and see what happens from there.
I mean, I talked about how they struggled a little bit for half. I mean, K-State still ended with 200 rushing yards. So, I mean, they didn't struggle that much, right?
Not really. No.
K-State had, I believe they said it was their most offensive yards in a couple of years. Like, they had almost 600 yards of offense. That is
compared to the other team, which you see right here.
Yeah,
6 yards.
Yeah. And we're going to get into the defense here.
Oh, yeah.
In a moment.
We'll get into that.
The offense, that was probably the best first game for the offense. Throwing the ball, 360 yards passing, which Snyder would not do that. Like, at least Snyder 2.0 wouldn't do that. 1.0, completely different. But for K-State to have 360 yards passing, 228 yards rushing, that is an exceptional day at the offense for K-State.
And that's not even all starters. I mean, that is backups. That's 2-man. Even the 3-man were coming out there.
Yep.
I mean, getting reps in, and we still put up those kind of numbers. That is impressive by this organization. So
I mean,
yeah.
so 7 different people ran the ball. How many different people caught a ball? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 people caught a ball, including Will Howard.
Yeah.
Great
Will
day
Howard.
at the office for the K-State offense.
But we all know that football games are not won on offense. They're won on defense.
We've gone almost 30 minutes here talking about K-State. We haven't even talked about the fact that K-State pitched a shutout. 0 points allowed. The K-State defense, I'll tell you what, they impressed me. Like, I knew that the linebackers were going to look good, and they did.
yeah.
But honestly,
The cornerbacks. Yes, I have well, and the safeties, obviously. So,
Okay.
like, obviously, everybody knows that K-State's defense is running a 3-3-5 defense, which is like really difficult for offenses to like figure out like what's going. 5 safeties, like that's or deep, 5 in the deep coverage. That's tough to play against. I have 3 people that I have highlighted here for the defensive side. I've got Austin Moore, the absolute machine.
Yes.
Kobe Savage, is it Kobe Savage? Yeah.
Kobe.
And then Jacob Parrish, the sophomore from Olathe. That kid was reading the flats so well and getting those, like, I think him and like it was one other person that denied a pass. He like read these passes going out to like the short outside passes. He was reading them like so quickly and was reacting like right away. And I was like, man, this guy is on it. He was coming up with these massive hits, huge hits. I mean, this is a guy that just flies to the ball. And that's the kind of guy that you want on your defense. A guy that's just going to like just fly to the ball as soon as it comes out, and so Jacob Parrish is like a big highlight for me at cornerback. What did you have?
So I felt like Parrish could have played better. I thought he played okay. So K-State gets a 3-and-out to start the game. K-State offense comes right down and scores. And then SEMO comes out, and they get a couple first downs. And it's like 4th and, I don't even know, like 10 or something. And they throw a ball on a quick post or a slant there. And Jacob Parrish does make a tackle 1 yard short of the 4th down, or of the first down. So K-State stops him. He did make a nice tackle there, but K-State still gave up 221 yards passing. I felt like overall they could have played a little bit better, but they still pitched a shutout. I was impressed with Will Lee, the transfer at corner from Hutch CC. I felt like he is definitely the next Julius Brents. He looked incredible. They were definitely mixing things up with the man coverage and zone. You could tell when they're motioning people over if the linebacker is going with them or not. And they ran a lot of those receiver screens you were talking about. When K-State was running zone, they were trying to do that because I think they felt like they had an advantage there because both Jacob Parrish and Keenan Garber are not the biggest corners. And they had some success early until K-State figured out what they wanted to do. And then Kobe Savage came right downhill, started smacking people like crazy.
Dude. Kobe Savage living up to his name there at the back half of the I guess like the second half of the game. I mean, I guess like the Jacob Parrish is like really I was really watching him a lot on the second half. The first half I agree with you. Yeah, they were trying to figure out the gameplay of what SEMO was trying to do. But once they read them, man, it was like they weren't going to get any more points. A lot of those passes that were completed were some really good, like cross the middle passes that they would catch.
Sure.
Some really good, like quick throwing passes right down the middle. Doing some cross stuff. That's confusing for anybody.
Sure.
And so, but and props to them for getting those off. But yeah, obviously, like once we figured out their game plan, I feel like we were able to come in and just kind of shut that down really quickly and easily. But yeah, Kobe Savage for sure. Austin Moore. I mean, they don't nickname him the Machine for nothing. I actually didn't know that was his nickname until you had said so. I'm like, dude, Austin Moore is an absolute machine. And you're like, that is literally his nickname. I thought that was kind of funny.
Sorry, my daughter barged in here.
Oh no, that's fine.
So,
That's all right.
well, you know what I like about K-State is the fact that they got two safeties named Savage and Payne. Like those are great names for safeties. They were knocking some heads, but you know what? Like they did give up 221 yards passing, which, like I said, it felt like it was a little bit more than it probably should have been. They only gave up 6 yards rushing. That defensive line, I was completely like shocked with how well they played. I knew the D line was going to play. I felt like the front 6 or 7 or whatever it is was going to play pretty well, but I came away thinking, my gosh, K-State's got some dudes up front, including Uso Suomalo, which we've heard so much about as a nose tackle. He didn't play very much because he had an injury. As soon as he came in, like his first 3 snaps, he already had a sack, and he had the best sack dance I had ever seen. I don't know if they showed it on TV or not.
They did. They
It
showed
was
it.
amazing, dude, for sure.
It was really good. Yeah, I think. Well, okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, but SEMO is actually known for their running game, isn't that right?
They are they're
known for their pass.
Right here. So Geno Hess, he had 1,600 yards rushing last year. He's a senior this year, and K-State held him to -4 yards rushing on 10 carries. And that is super impressive, especially when you consider 2 of K-State's starting linebackers. Where are they? Daniel Green and Desmond Purnell combined for 0 tackles. That D-line was eating people up. No doubt about it. I was super, super impressed with that D-line.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was trying to explain. You know, like SEMO is known for this kind of gameplay, running the ball, and they just got completely shut down. Like, I mean, that's if this is what it's going to be like for the entire season, I am so stoked for us going against other teams, shutting down their running game, and then, you know, forcing the teams to like go to their passing game. Because I mean, if it's going to be like this, we're giving teams only single digit yards for the game. That's going to bode very well for the rest of the year. Definitely.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, 26 carries for 6 yards. Are you serious? Like that means 26 times. 26 times. They
to be
ran
fair,
the ball for a combined 6 yards. That's 0.2 yards per carry. That is insane, dude.
Yeah, it's well, it's because, I mean, we were pressuring their quarterback so well. Not just, I mean, obviously the D line's going to do their thing, but the linebackers doing we'd shown a few times some really good blitzes, and we were getting in there, forcing the quarterback to have to do a crazy bootleg and run around, and then he gets taken down because, again, we're showing that we can get after the ball. We can really just like, and you heard this if you were watching the game on TV or radio or whatever. You heard the commentator that you see a swarm of cats flying after the ball, and that's exactly what you want to see from your defense. You want to see everybody pursuing that ball like all at once, you know, just like completely surrounding the ball carrier, and that's what we were doing. We were showing that very well. I was impressed, to say the least, and I cannot wait to see what our defense is going to look like against obviously better teams, you know, like actually put it to the test, you know, given that we're going to stay healthy and get those injuries all patched up, you know? So yeah, that's what I have there.
K-State had 4 sacks on the day and 11 tackles for a loss. Now they also had, I believe, 1 fumble recovery.
That's right. They're at the end of the game.
Yeah. At the end of the game. Yeah. So the only thing I'd say that K-State could have done a little bit better job is the fact that they threw the ball 37 times and K-State didn't get any interceptions. Now, they also got, like I said, 4 sacks, a bunch of QB hurries, a bunch of QB hits. The D-line showed out. The secondary is only going to get better. They probably didn't take very many chances, Marquis Siegel, one of the starting safeties, did not play. They played Kobe McAllister instead.
That's right.
And so it's only going to get better overall. I still have some questions on the secondary, but I mean, 0 touchdowns allowed. They were never even in the red zone. They were never close. Like all those yards, the other team got from their own 1 yard line to like the 40-yard line of K-State. Like I don't think they ever even got past the 40-yard line of K-State. And if they did, they got sacked back by that D line, which the starting D line, Khalid Duke, 1 sack. Nate Matlack, 1 sack. The 2 nose tackles that played, half sack each. I mean, when your starting D line is all getting at least 1 sack per game, you are definitely going to take that because it allows the other 8 defenders to do basically whatever they want. Like it's K-State's got some dudes on that D line, and overall the defense shutting out an opponent, that is super tough to do. And so
them boys, man.
They them boys.
They them boys. You know, I will say that part of the reason, another big part of the reason why we were able to shut them out was because this is more like credit to K-State and their character here, but there was a lot of penalties in the second half of the game against SEMO, just doing some just not being disciplined there at the end of the game. I mean, they're just face mask calls, pass interference calls. There were so many offensive pass interference against SEMO when they had the ball. And that's going to cause them to like lose all those advantages that they had. I mean, I remember looking up at the screen and it was like 3rd and 27, 3rd and 18. I'm like, holy smokes, like so many penalties against SEMO, and that's probably what caused them. And I didn't see many on the other end. I didn't see many penalties against K-State. Maybe a handful.
So according to the box score, K-State had 4 for 36. I only remember a false start. But outside of that, I don't really remember any other penalties. Now, I will say that SEMO actually had more than 5 penalties, but K-State declined a couple of them because
they declined a bunch.
They declined a bunch of penalties. SEMO's offense definitely did not play a clean game.
Yeah, so. And that's kind of disappointing for them. People that are fans of SEMO, like you want a team that, and they were saying this. You want a team that's gonna they know they're not gonna come in and win this game, but you want to actually play for pride, play for character and stuff like that. And they didn't really do a very good. They were sloppy there at the end. They were playing, maybe a little frustrated, but you can't let it get to you like that because that's just going to hurt you even more. And I mean, but again, 5 penalties for 65. And like you said, there was at least 4 more penalties that we declined. It was just it was already 3rd and 17, and then they were redo it or just go to 4th down or something, or 2nd, and it was 2nd and 22, and there was a I don't know, a pass interference, and we're nah, just go to 3rd down and 3rd and 22. It's it's just all right, well, we'll just go with that. But I mean, I think good job on K-State, playing a better clean game. Man, this is some pretty good team stats you have pulled up here. 13 first downs versus 28 first downs.
Yep.
3rd down efficiency. I mean,
4 for 14. That is not great. Now, K-State being 4 of 10 is also not great. That number needs to be better.
We didn't have many 3rd downs, though. I feel like we were just converting. 10 is not very many,
but being 4 of 10 is not great.
Yeah.
But
I feel like that is probably due to the fact that it's probably taking account the whole game. I think when we had the later part of the game, we were seeing more 3rd down, 4th downs and stuff like that. Do you want to go over really quickly the special teams?
Yes.
There's just one in particular highlight that I want to get to, and that's our kicker who made his career record at 51 yards. And it could have gone for 57, 58 yards. I mean, that thing was still going. Now, and that was a big thing that we were talking about in the first episode. If you haven't seen the first episode, we do have that posted. So go ahead and check that out. But in the first episode, we were talking about our our field goal game was not looking good last year. I mean, that was a big struggle that we had. And we came out yesterday and tied the career record of 51 yards of a field goal. So that was amazing to see that. And then as far as like kickoffs and punts and everything, we did a solid job there. I mean, there was a couple punts that actually went really well. We got it right there, good field position on for us to like defend. But as far the big highlight was that 51-yard field goal. What do you have to say about that, Steve?
So here's what I'll say. K-State did not punt until midway through the third quarter. It was actually I'd made a joke to like maybe I even posted it or sent it to you. K-State hadn't punted yet, and there was like 7 minutes left in the third quarter. And the very next drive, K-State finally punts, which it was fine with because K-State was up 38-0 at that point. Like the game was over. Let's be honest. And so you want to get some work for your punt team. Now, in terms of the field goal kickoff, Chris Tennett's leg is ginormous. Like he I think all of them except for one, maybe even two, were out of the end zone touchbacks. So that was great to see. You don't want to give him any chance to return something. And then his field goal kicking. Now there was no pressure because of the opponent, but when K-State finally did line up for a field goal, I was like, okay, this is fine. Like I'm good of K-State not getting the first down because I want to see how he kicks this super long field goal, and he drilled it. Absolutely drilled it, which was great to see him coming in with some more confidence. When he went out there for kickoffs, you could tell like Chris Tennett's having so much more confidence this year in himself, which is what you want after he struggled last year. He only went like 50% on field goals. Now, I want to see how he does in the 35, 40, basically the 30 to 40 range because the intermediate range is where he struggles a little bit with accuracy. But this was a great start for him. Made all the PATs, made that 50-yard field goal. I felt like special teams overall went very, very, very well.
Yep. There's nothing more to really say other than what you just already, summed up right there. You want to see more from him, but from what we've seen so far, solid performance. The guy's like, we're hoping that this game gives him the confidence to be able to perform the way that we all want him to perform, which is getting those big kicks in those really like those big moments, and they said that on the cast. They're like, this is going to look good for K-State, going down the road. You're going to have those games where you're going to need a guy that can hit the long ball like that and possibly win the whole game off of that. And so the fact that we've seen him do it, he's able to like, you said there's not a lot of pressure. The game was already won basically, but this is him just basically getting reps in. But what better way to get some reps in on a game day, like getting it in solid right through the uprights is awesome. It's a good deal.
Absolutely.
I'm pumped for him.
Absolutely. About the best possible outcome for that game that you can imagine. K-State's not going to score in every possession. You want to see how they do in the other facets of the game.
Exactly.
And I feel like K-State, that was about the best possible game for K-State outside of the weather and outside of a couple guys not getting to play because of injury. Overall, like I was super impressed with K-State from top to bottom, offense, defense, special teams.
This is exciting. This is what I was talking about in the first episode when I gave my reaction from last year. I said I cannot wait to see what is going to be the K-State team's games, like all the games going into the next season. I'm super excited because the momentum that we have, we're Big 12 champions, and we're coming out swinging. We're gonna like ride this train as long as it'll go, and it looks like with the pickup of Avery Johnson, we might be on this train for a really long time. You keep putting on these, you keep the recruiting team and the coaching staff on this, the offensive coordinator. It just seems like they are all on the same page here, and we're just putting together a great team, and it's performing well so far. And I cannot wait to see how farther it goes into the later part of the season. Granted that we are all going to be healthy and nothing's going to be, like no injuries. Team dynamics going to be flawless. I think what we should do is we should just briefly talk about the rest of the Big 12 and the standings. There are some I mean, it is only just one game, only one game has happened, but some surprises. I mean,
Yeah.
what
So
do you think?
let's go ahead and get into that. Let's see if I can pull this up here real quick. The Big 12.
But so far, our predictions are correct. We're 100% correct in our predictions so far. The K-State.
Yes. So K-State closed at a 28.5-point favorite. They won by 45, obviously, so they covered. Now let's go through the rest of the scores here. So starting off on Thursday, new Big 12 member, UCF won 56-6. I don't know what the spread was, but I believe actually it was 36 points. So they definitely covered the spread, winning by 50 points. That's a pretty impressive start for UCF Golden Knights.
Look at that. Look at it's 14. They scored 2 touchdowns every single.
That is consistency, man.
That is consistency. Looks like they're firing the whole game. They're not letting up the whole game. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. Now, I don't know what the spread was on the KU game. Maybe I can pull it up really quick. But they definitely look like they covered here. Let's see. Let me see if I can pull up the team stats. They'll pull it up. Maybe not. But it looks like KU definitely covered here.
I think they probably covered. I don't know if they had.
Yeah, I don't know. Where would it be at?
Would it be like in the 20s or something?
I don't know. Like, I don't. It had to have been like 24 points or something like that. Maybe I can pull it up here on my phone. I wrote down a bunch of the spreads on my phone to see just to see, like, for betting purposes.
For people who were predicting certain teams to win. And winning by how much? Like, is it going to be a close game, or was it supposed to be like a pretty big shutout, or blowout game? Did they deliver, or did they underperform, or did they overperform? Kansas overperformed. UCF overperformed.
So I'm not super impressed with KU's winning 48-17, because if you look at the box score here, KU scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. So before that, they had 27 points, or leading 27-10 going to the fourth quarter. I know they were without Jalen Daniels. I get that. Jason Bean played instead. But still, they won by 30 points. It's a great win, but not the most, not the best. Oh, sorry. Not the best looking win if you're looking at the fact that they had to score 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to win.
Any chance I can get to dog on KU, I'm going to take that chance. So I agree with you there. It's a good win, but it's not a great win. Kansas, get your butt together, all right? Get it together, Kansas, for crying out loud, you jayhawking. All right, let's go on. Let's move on.
So Penn State was hosting West Virginia. Penn State coming off a Rose Bowl win. They ended up winning 38-15. Now, the spread was 21 points. Penn State, there's got to be something going on there, dude. They scored a touchdown when they could have taken a knee with 6 seconds left in the game. They had all their offensive line pushing this guy into the end zone to cover the spread to win by 23 points. They ended up winning 38-15. That's not a good look for West Virginia, but Penn State's a phenomenal program, phenomenal brand, and that's a nice win for them.
Straight across sevens, 7, 7, 7, 17 in the fourth quarter. Yeah. Good on them. I mean, I wasn't really too surprised on this win. I mean, they're ranked pretty high, and
Right.
yeah, I mean, we'll just have to see what the rest of the season looks like for them going forward.
So I know that Texas was favored pretty big. They ended up winning here 37-10. They're only up 16-3 at halftime. That's not the best first half. Now they come back with 21 points in the third quarter.
They absolutely dominate coming back in that second half.
Yeah.
Really just putting a nail in the coffin there.
Now, Rice's, they're not the best team. They used to be in the same conference, the Southwest Conference, before 1996 with Texas. And I get, it's another Texas team. 27 points is a nice win, but I feel like they definitely could have won by more than that. That's just my personal opinion. Not the best start for them, but I mean, it's not. I guess it's not terrible either.
We also don't know. I didn't watch that game, but we don't know with these teams like who they're bringing in, like
Sure.
stuff like that. Yeah.
I mean, Texas has like a top 5 recruiting class every year, so they should be beating everyone by a lot.
Sure. Yeah, that's true.
I personally feel like, and this is just my opinion, K-State's 45-0 win was the most impressive win of anyone in the Big 12. The only other team that could have come close, and we'll talk about it here in a little bit, is Oklahoma. But do you feel like K-State had the most impressive win of any Big 12 team?
I think so. I think it was because of the team that we were playing against. A lot of people, again, I tried to explain this in the beginning of this episode. To say that SEMO is like a team that you could just quickly overlook and they're not really that important to really worry about is a big mistake. They're a really good college football team, and they were really good last year, and they were ranked in their conference like pretty high. So to sit there and say like, oh, well, it's SEMO, they're not really that big of a deal. They were a big deal. They are a big deal, but it just goes to show like how mature and how ready Kansas State is, being that Big 12 defending champions. We're a good team too, and we showed it. I mean, we went to work, we took care of business.
Absolutely. Now, the game of the day, maybe the game of the weekend, Colorado TCU, that had everything that you could want. Lots of scoring, crazy plays. Shout out to Dylan Edwards, though, the Derby running back who was committed to K-State, then committed to Notre Dame, ended up at Colorado. He ends up with 5 catches, 135 yards, 3 touchdowns receiving, and a rushing touchdown as well. That guy was incredible. Deion Sanders' son, Shadur Sanders, I think that's how you say his name. For them to win at TCU, who went to the national championship game last year, that's a nice win for them. But I also feel like it says more about TCU and how much they're having to replace for the fact that they give up 45 points at home and lose to a team that I believe went 1-11 last year. That is not the best look for a TCU program ranked 17th in the country.
1-11, yeah. I mean, that is exactly that team. and we talked about this again. If you haven't seen that previous episode, it's posted. But we talked about how TCU, they lost a lot of big leaders and big players on their team from last year. I mean, their senior class was massive. And so part of the reason why they were so good, their senior class was really good. So, and if this is not an indicator of that, I mean, we don't know. It could have been first game jitters. It could have been, maybe some unhealthy people. I don't know. This is not what I was expecting at all from TCU and Colorado. I was like, I was thinking maybe it was going to be a pretty good showing for Colorado, maybe put on some good points here and there, but for them to actually turn around and win, no way. And there's a reason why people are hyping this up, and it's all over ESPN. And I mean, ESPN is really taking this and running with it. And I hope they don't go too far, because it's not like maybe this could have just been TCU. Maybe what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe downplaying their opponent, maybe just thinking, oh, well, we got this in the bed. We don't have to take them too seriously. And when you get complacent like that, 45-42 can happen. Like at home, like, so, which is wild.
TCU was a 20.5 point favorite, basically 3 touchdowns. If you bet $100 straight up on Colorado to win, you would have turned $100 into $650 plus your $100 back. So $750 is what you would have won, and you bet $100 on Colorado straight up. That's an impressive win for Colorado for sure.
Let me ask you this. This is the Purple Pod. We're not going to be like going deep into all these teams, but let me ask you this. Does this change your opinion about Colorado?
Slightly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I had them winning probably 3 or 4 games this year. They might win 5 or 6 now.
Does this change your opinion about TCU?
Yes. It
Okay.
changes, in my opinion, more in TCU than it does in college.
In a negative way.
In a negative way. Absolutely. What
Yeah.
about you? Same
Yeah,
question.
well, that was what I was going to say. I'm not sure how much it changes about with Colorado, but I definitely, I mean, because the thing is with like whenever you bring in new leadership, that could be the sauce that like
Sure.
changes everything. I mean, you get a guy in there that like restructures the whole leadership of a team. You can see big things happening, but for TCU, I was thinking it's gonna be a fun, rematch of the Big 12 game. If TCU starts performing like this, if they perform like this when we play against them, oh, it's gonna be a nice win for Kansas
Absolutely.
State. It's gonna be a nice win, and I my worries for that game is not as much.
Absolutely. I agree for sure.
But let's get to the game that you said yourself might have been the most impressive of the weekend for Big 12 teams. Which
So Oklahoma
that
winning
is
73-0. That is an insane score. Now, Arkansas
yeah,
State, they only won 3 games last year. So this is not the same Arkansas State team that came in and beat K-State, I think, in 2021. Like, this is not that same team. That team had a couple NFL receivers. This team won 3 games last year. Their coach was crying in the second half. They caught him on camera crying. Uh,
jeez.
I don't know how much it changes my respect for Oklahoma, because last year Oklahoma won like 49-14 at Nebraska, and then K-State went into Oklahoma and just won like it wasn't a big deal. Like that, it wasn't even, the score wasn't as close. Like the score was closer than the game was, I felt like, last year. So for them to win 73-0 against Arkansas State, I'm not sure. That's a great win for them. Probably the second best win in the Big 12 this past weekend. But I'm not.
I mean, look at their quarterback, Gabriel, with 308 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean,
I almost feel like they were taking out their aggression from last season, including the bowl game where they lost to Florida State. They took out all that whole aggression out on Arkansas State. So rest in peace, Arkansas State, on that on that loss. But it doesn't change. I mean, Oklahoma's going to be a top 3, 4, 5 team in the Big 12 regardless. So probably the second best performance in my opinion this week.
And I mean, this is their last year, right? This is their last year in the Big 12.
Does this change your perspective on Oklahoma?
Honestly, I could care less about Oklahoma, honestly. Good riddance. Get out of here, man. This is my hot take. Go to SEC. Get out of here, man. We don't want you anyway. No, I mean, seriously, though, this is impressive. Anytime you see a score like that, you're just like, holy moly.
Right.
I mean, look at what they did in the first half. I mean, and then they just kept the pedal to the metal, coming in the second half. They're a good team. I mean, they've always been that team that is able to recruit big players. They've always been that team. Between them and the Longhorns, and I see why that they're both going to the SEC, even though they're big traders, and we're not going to get into it. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what goes on the rest of the year. I mean, again, injuries can happen, things can happen, complacency can happen. This obviously probably feels good for their school to put up a huge number like that. Yep. And if I was at that game, I would have been snoozing. I'm like, oh man, another touchdown. What is it, 500-0? You know what I mean? It's just
sure.
I mean, it's cool to see it. It's cool to see it. But we'll have to keep our eye on them, see what's going on in the future. But this doesn't make. I mean, I'm not so big on OU, man. I never really have been. So sorry, OU fans.
K-State doesn't play them this year, anyways. The only time they play them is
lucky for them.
Yeah, exactly. The only way they play is if they both met in a Big 12 championship game, which we both picked them not to be there. So I don't think how they do affects K-State whatsoever.
That's right.
There's a couple games here coming up that I want to talk about because they are kind of crazy scores. Starting with Iowa State winning 30-9. Now that is not a super impressive win when you look at the fact that here's the top stats. Northern Iowa's quarterback threw for the most yards of anyone at the game, 164 yards, 2 interceptions. I'm assuming Iowa State ran one back for a score.
Probably.
There's not. I mean, the top rusher 72 yards, top receiver 40. Like that's. I don't know. That feels weird to me that those are the top numbers for them.
Yeah.
Iowa State winning 39 with a bunch of backups, though. I guess that's good for them. I think Iowa State is going to finish in last or second to last in the conference.
Yeah, this game just gives me more confidence that we're like this is the last game for us in our schedule, right? Yeah, this is going to be a good game. I'm predicting Avery Johnson starting.
I don't know
Avery
if
Johnson
start, but
well, that would be cool if he did. Have him start. Give Will Howard a nice break so that way he can perform. Give him a nice little week off so that way he can perform well at the Big 12 championship because that's what's going to happen. That's just my prediction. But yeah, this is not an impressive 30-9. I mean, you see they obviously got it in a comfortable lead. They could just hit their backups, their twos and threes go in the fourth quarter. But you see the difference. Like, I mean, we shut out in the first half. They let them come back, and I didn't watch the game, but this doesn't look impressive to me. So, and this just gives me more confidence. And I'm hoping that would be super cool if Avery Johnson, if we get a lot of games like this where Avery's getting some snaps. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he just starts the Iowa State game. That would be so legit.
Sure.
Especially if we're a shoe-in for the Big 12. If we're a shoe-in for the Big 12 and it doesn't matter if we win or lose and Avery starts, that would be even better. Give him a full game. That would be so legit. That's all I'm saying about the Iowa State game is I want Avery Johnson to play it when we meet them in the end of the season.
So moving on here to Cincinnati, K-State does not play them this year. One of the 4 new teams. They won 66-13. I did not think Cincinnati would be that good this year. This is a pretty impressive win for me. Quarterback threw for 345 yards and 5 touchdowns.
I don't really know anything about Eastern Kentucky either.
I don't know. Well, I don't know that much about them either, but I can tell you, if you beat anyone 66-13, that's pretty impressive. I guess I could look at how good Eastern Kentucky was last year. Let me pull it up real quick. So maybe they're a lot like Arkansas State, where the fact they weren't very good the year before.
Yeah, I was actually excited and interested to see Cincinnati being one of the teams that came one of the new teams.
They went 7-5 the year before, so they were definitely better than Arkansas State. So them winning 66-13, that's a nice score for sure for Cincinnati, which I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about Cincinnati, but I know they were picked right around the middle of the Big 12. So K-State doesn't play them this year, so I don't worry about them too much. I don't think they're going to make the Big 12 championship game. So I don't. I'm not focusing on them very much.
Yeah, but here's some teams coming up that we do play, and one in which I'm going to see for sure. I'm going to see the Baylor game. Watching the Texas State beats Baylor. Wow. At Baylor as well. Man, does this mean that Baylor is just like not what they used to be? Is that ship sailed? Is that train just have we just missed? Is that train just gone? Like it's just
I don't know. It's hard to tell because like everyone wants to quickly react to this game and be like, yo, Baylor's not going to be very good this year. They lost at home to Texas freaking State. Now K-State last year won the Big 12, losing at home to Tulane, which Tulane ended up going to.
Tulane's good though.
Yes, but at the time we didn't know that K-State was a 14-point favorite. Maybe it's the same thing. I don't see that happening. I think this is definitely a worse look for Baylor than K-State's last year because K-State only lost by 7. And Baylor here lost by 11 points, giving up 42 points. That is not good at all. This is a bad.
Look at the first half though.
28.
That's alarming. Yeah.
28 to freaking 13. That's bad.
Wow. I mean, I don't know. I'm just going to say it, man. Like, I think Baylor is not what they used to be. No. I'm going to do the quick reaction. I'm just going to do it for the clicks. I don't know. You can even title it Baylor is not what they used to be now. Like, put that
Baylor's rest in peace, Baylor.
Rest in peace, Baylor. Yeah. Look, this again just gives me more confidence that we're going to come in, take care of business against Baylor. I mean, I never even look at Texas State ever. I never even like glance their way to see what they're
I
doing.
mean, I just know what they are. I've heard of them, and I think they're on. I think they're on.
I think I've heard of them.
I'm pretty sure they were on the Friday Night Lights TV show back in the day. So
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, moving on here to the end of the Big 12 because there's 14 teams, so this is a lot of games to get through.
Yeah, the Big 12 has 14 teams, so figure that one out.
Right. Houston with a 17-14 win at home.
Not impressive.
UTSA. We knew that Houston was not going to be that good. Donovan Smith, the transfer from Texas Tech, throws for 233 yards. Like you took the words right out of my mouth. Not an impressive win. We didn't expect them to be very good this year at all. So I'm not I'm not worried about them still.
Yeah,
looking at it through purple glasses.
Exactly. So we can just skip that.
Okay, Oklahoma State.
All right.
13.
This is going to be, I believe, this is our first big game coming out of the first four that we have, right?
Yep.
They're going to be the first, I guess, our first like Big 12 game that we have.
Yep.
What do you think, man?
They were leading 13-7 going to the fourth quarter. 13-7 going to the fourth quarter against Central Arkansas. Now, K-State played Central Arkansas a while ago. K-State dominated that game. I know that
different
Central
teams, different.
Yeah, years. I get it. Oklahoma State has no idea who their quarterback is. If you read some of the quotes after the game from their coach,
they don't even have pictures.
Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, he doesn't know who their quarterbacks are. He thinks they're all should play. When you have three quarterbacks, that tells me you don't have a quarterback. I would be very worried if I was an Oklahoma State fan after this win. This is not a great look for them. But again, do you quickly react to this? It's a win. So
a win is a win.
A win is a win. Not the best, but not impressive.
People aren't going to really realize any different, but they're going to realize real quick when we play them in our first game out of the first four. When we play our first Big 12 game, they're going to learn really quick how unimpressive 27-13 against Central Arkansas is.
Yes, absolutely. Now, probably the second best game in the Big 12.
Most, I would say
probably the most shocking game.
The surprise. Yeah. Because I actually have us losing to Texas Tech. That was one of the games I have us losing to them.
This is not a great look for the Big 12 at all when the team is picked, arguably second, third, or fourth in a conference is going at Wyoming, having to kick a field goal at the end of the fourth quarter just to get to overtime and then losing in overtime to Wyoming as a 2-touchdown favorite. This is a bad look for Texas Tech for sure. I don't know why they scheduled this game. They have nothing to win. They have nothing to gain from playing this game whatsoever. You're supposed to beat Wyoming, and if you don't, it looks bad, and it's an away game. Why are they playing this game? I don't get it.
Oh, man. I don't know if I should. I mean, this is just maybe just too quick of a reaction, but I'm almost sad that I picked Kansas to lose to them because I want to retract my statement and maybe have Kansas winning by probably about 27. Yeah, Kansas State 28, 29 points. There's no way you would have ever convinced me that Texas going to Wyoming and losing in overtime, 2 overtimes.
Yep.
Or it's second overtime. They lose to Wyoming. Man. I don't know, dude. This is such a morale kill for them. I don't know if this is going to inspire them to get back to work and work harder, or if this is just going to be such a downer for them. Their confidence oh man. Good. Hey, shout out to Wyoming, man. You guys freaking possibly gave the biggest upset other than maybe Colorado and Baylor. Or TCU, sorry. TCU. Colorado and TCU. This is almost bigger. I think it might be even bigger.
I mean,
Colorado had
touchdowns, but I do feel like specifically for names, this is probably a bigger upset than a Colorado one.
Yeah, because Colorado had the
not
hype,
as big of an upset though as the Baylor Texas State game. Probably the second biggest upset of the weekend. And
yeah,
it's crazy that 3 of them happened in the Big 12. That is not a good look for the Big 12 at all.
No, this is very interesting. Very interesting weekend. All I know about this weekend is that Kansas State and I would say maybe OU were the best performers. I'm going to be biased and say Kansas State was the best performers.
Oh, yeah, they were.
Because it wasn't just the fact that our starting teams look good, but our backup teams were looking just as good, and so that I don't know what OU did in the game. I didn't watch the game. But if OU just kept their starting team in the whole game to just prove a point or whatever, just to build confidence, then that's whatever. I feel like Kansas State probably would have slammed even bigger numbers if we did that. But we'd rather have a better reps in our backup team. So
sure.
But nothing else to say about this Texas Tech Wyoming game other than I'm shocked. Super disappointed in Texas Tech. I mean, what the heck are we doing here? Number 3, arguably top 3 team in the Big 12, and you're losing to Wyoming.
Yep.
What is going on here?
Not a good look. And to end the Big 12, and 14 games is a lot to go through here.
It is
when they're not playing each other. Like when the Big 12 season starts, I mean, it's what, like 6-7 games, right? So it'll be a lot less to go through. But BYU winning at home 14-0 against
interesting game.
And they put up 7 points in the fourth quarter to win by 2 touchdowns. I know Sam Houston had several drives inside the red zone where they did not punch it in. So this is not a great look for BYU and the Big 12 overall. But I don't know. I still don't know how much to take from that, I guess. I feel like
I'm hoping it's just first game jitters. Just trying to get it out of the system. I mean, I know that happens sometimes. I know that
sure.
You have teams, you got young guys coming in, you got other guys that are transferring over, trying
Your
to
defense did get 3 interceptions. So,
well, there's just got to be there. I want to give the benefit of the doubt. I'm always trying to give the benefit of the doubt. Unless you're KU, then you don't get any benefit of the doubt.
Nope, absolutely not.
But I always try to give the benefit of the doubt. Texas, Wyoming, what's going on here? Probably some preseason jitters, first game jitters. Trying to build the chemistry of the team. I don't know what's going on, but I hope they figure it out fast, because this is just going to look like, it already looks like purple wave, sure. It's just looking more and more like a purple tidal wave, yep. This is unreal, man. This is, I am so excited for the next episode when we look forward to Troy, right? Is that right?
Yep. Troy's coming up this next weekend. We'll have another pod on this, just real quick.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to, or anything you want to say about that game coming up?
Right off the bat, I just want to keep. I want to see Howard to Garcia. I want to see that happen. I want to see that dynamic really build. I want to see Ben Sennett still be the beast that he is. I want to see our defense constantly we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this next week. But I think the biggest thing that I want to say is I'm hoping that we get another huge lead to where we can bring in our backups again and get some more reps in, because that's what the people want to see, man. The reaction to Avery Johnson, Avery the Hair, it's going to catch on. Avery the Hair Johnson, the more reps that we see, the crowd was going wild. I was at home. I was listening to the TV, and I was like, this kid is a superstar. Look at the reaction he's getting from the crowd. This is unreal. So, I just hope that we get to see more reps from him. But other than that, I'm just looking forward to another K-State victory. I believe we're going to get another K-State victory pretty easily. But we're looking really good, man. Pedal to the
Absolutely.
metal.
Yes,
Pedal
sir.
down.
My thoughts are almost everything you said. I don't want to let down like last year, like they had against Tulane. I would hope K-State learned its lesson from last year, and I think they have. This team is full of seniors. I think they're going to be fired up to be playing this game. I think they know they have no easy weeks, and every single week they're going to bring it. I have K-State winning by a couple scores. I think it is going to be a little tougher than we all anticipate. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully K-State puts it on them. But I do feel like it's going to be probably – it might be tougher than a Missouri game. We'll find out. But we'll do a whole other pod on that coming up this week. Kenny, thank you so much for joining me, man.
Steve, it is always a pleasure to hear your voice and to see your face.
Really quickly, I do want to ask you though, what are your thoughts on your single "Bring the Victory" as our intro song for the pod?
That was pretty cool, man. I didn't know that you were gonna throw that in there, but I mean, it sounds cool. Bring the victory, K-State. I mean, bringing the victory home. I mean, that's golden, man. That works out great for me.
Absolutely.
Everyone
go download it, buy the song, Bring the Victory on iTunes, Spotify, anywhere you can find it, YouTube. I'll leave a link below to his YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's Ken Savvy. Ken Savvy, Bring the Victory. It's on iTunes. It's on Amazon Music. It's everywhere. It's Spotify. And then also, if you haven't done so already, Burke Family 54 Comics. Go and like and subscribe. Steve, my man, who's covering all the comic books, all the do's and don'ts of what's to get, like which one to buy, which one not to buy, which one to trade. Updates on comic book movies, all that stuff. I mean, he's got it all covered. So if you haven't done so already, please go over to Burke Family 54 Comics. Burke Family 54 Comics, right? Yeah. Yep. And like and subscribe and leave a comment below on all the videos.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. With that, we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much, Kenny. I'm Steve. And take it easy. And as always, go Cats, baby.
Go Cats.
Woo!
Woo!